Hi, everybody. Hey, I wanted to start. It is Wednesday afternoon. I'm putting this together for you. This is Lewis River Golf Course from my live camera network. This is up in Woodland, Washington, one of the prettier fall scenes I've seen. Just gorgeous blue skies opening up over on the right side that you can just make it if you know what it is. That's the Lewis River through the trees. And what I wanted to point out was, we're now clearly into that time of the year that when we start off with fairly widespread fog, some of it dense, like we had this morning, and the forecast calls for a high pressure system centered overhead at the surface and there to be absolutely no wind for the most part, which is today, that there's not a guarantee that we're going to clear out. There's are a couple other indicators as a forecaster that you can look at to determine if we're going to clear out and get some sun. But in my opinion, today could have gone the other way. We could have struggled to clear out and kind of had a disappointing day. So just FYI, it is that time of the year now where these days are going to pop. Your forecaster is going to tell you afternoon sun, and it never really happens, right? For a number of reasons. So just wanted to touch on that for a moment. What I really want to talk about is there's some rain coming in tomorrow, but I want to spend some time breaking down a potential wet pattern that could be with us for a handful of days next week. So what we're looking at right here is the National Weather Service outlook. This is for November 13th through the 17th. That's Monday through Friday of next week. So notice along the West Coast, near normal temperatures. Notice the dark green above normal rainfall bullseye across much of California. There's a low that's going to be parked offshore, feeding that moisture into the Bay Area and a good chunk of California. And notice the above normal rainfall potentially extends up through Oregon. This particular outlook does not include areas to the north up into Seattle, really much of Washington. But there's definitely a deep low developing in this area next week that's going to feed moisture into California. The question is, are we going to be just getting some fringes of that moisture pushing to the north? Or are we going to get several days of a pretty good soak ourselves? And that's what I'm going to be talking about. And if you're thinking El Nino, California, rain bullseye, that does fit the narrative, doesn't it? Absolutely fits the narrative. Okay. Real quick, since we're talking about rain, here are the numbers we started today with. No rain today, obviously. So far this month, and this is what the 8th day of the month, PDX has reported just shy of 4 inches of rain, 3.94. The average for the entire 30-day period of November is just shy of 5.5 inches. So we're off to a really great wet start. And if we could have a couple of good soaks next week, we could be getting closer to what we typically would pick up for the entire month, which is great news. Water year 6.43. Again, this starts October 1st and will run through September 30th. And we actually had about an inch deficit when we finished October. We made up that deficit, and now we have a surplus of just about 2 inches. So that's all good news there as well. Okay, so what's going on? Let's talk about tomorrow's rain, then I'll get you into next week that I've been watching like a hawk for any signs of big time rain. So this is the satellite picture. I've got the 500 millibar contour lines here. Here we are today. Notice the ridging up over the Pacific Northwest, and we have a surface high as well. So both of them did combine this time around to give us some nice sunshine this afternoon. Out here, it looks really juicy. There's a pretty good trough supporting this in the upper atmosphere. This is the front that comes in to the coast tomorrow afternoon and comes into the Willamette Valley early tomorrow evening. It looks like around maybe 6 or 7 p.m. The front comes in to Portland. Models only give us about a quarter of an inch of rain out of this thing, and it will be weakening as it approaches. So while there may be some 30 to 40 mile per hour south wind gusts along the Oregon coast, and up into certainly the Long Beach Peninsula area on Thursday afternoon tomorrow. I think by the time the front starts to push that rain band into the valley, it's weakened enough that I don't really expect much wind. I mean, maybe we'll get a peak gust pop into 2025 at some point, but that would be it. Point out moisture back here. And this is the beginning of that flow that I have tremendous questions about. There's going to be a flow of moisture setting up that right now is aimed more into Canada. This is going into the first part of this is actually over the weekend into the first part of next week. And then down here is what's going to eventually lead into that developing low that's going to feed moisture into California. So there's really a lot going on for the West Coast in general, including Canada. as we go through the next several days. Question is, what are we going to pick up, right? So this is courtesy of KGW TV. This is the futurecast that I show you on TV. This is the latest modeling. And all of the models, the North American, the GFS, the European, they pretty much show the same scenario and the same timeline for rain tomorrow. Here it is at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Starting to maybe the first raindrop started to push toward I-5. It's been raining since probably no later than 1 o'clock, maybe noon along the Oregon coast. Again, it starts off as a solid rain band, but then by mid-evening, this is broken into showers and up into the Cascades. So it's going to move through pretty quickly. One reason why it looks like we'll be doing well, just to get about 1/4 of an inch of rain out of that Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening. Okay, now let's talk about next week. Deep low center right here. This is the GFS model, and this is Wednesday of next week. Look at this low sitting offshore, and look at the contour lines, 531, 528 low center. That's a cold low, especially for November, and it's a deep, strong system. And if you look at the packing of the contours, bringing the moisture into California and then rotating the moisture belts northward up into Oregon and even Washington. So if you just stare at this and nothing else, you're like, wow, certainly Northern California and Southern Oregon are going to get hammered with some heavy rains. And that may turn out to be the case. Right now, weather models love California. They don't particularly love our area being as far north as we are from that low. But I'm watching because I think that there's certainly the chance we're going to get some good soaks out of this. Again, this is the GFS model Wednesday of next week. Here it is. Same weather model, same low. This is the 700 millibar moisture saturation at 10,000 feet. Everything shaded in green is some deep moisture belts. So I know it's kind of tough to see in the map. Right here, I put PDX on the map. If you look carefully, here's the California coastline. There's the Oregon coastline. There's Washington. There's Puget Sound. I know it's difficult to see. But notice this does spin moisture bands all the way up into Washington. The question is, how much rain are we going to be getting? And that's going to be an interesting scenario. It does appear that next week, no matter what happens, snow levels most of the time will generally be above Cascade Passes. This shows 4,000 feet on Monday, a day that I don't think we see a lot of moisture anyway. Moisture picking up on Tuesday, but that could be rain at 5,000 feet, kind of a snow starting around Timberline or 5,500. And then generally, pardon me, even into Thursday, 4,500 feet would be mostly just rain up at government camp. So we'll keep an eye on all that. I do want to show you a couple of animations. And let's start. This is the European model. I'm just going to take you through next week. This is Monday of next week. See the deep trough offshore. Here's the 540 contour line. Here's the 546 contour. Again, the 546 contour line is considered the polar jet, northern branch of the jet, where it would be cold and really active. So I'm just going to toggle this through. Here's Tuesday. Let's go back for a second. Here's Monday. So what you're going to see now is this northern part of this trough developing to a low. Again, this is the European model. There's that low now developing and dropping down to the south. This is Tuesday. This position of this low, which is really deep and really cold. In fact, it's hard for me to believe this low is going to be that deep. That seems overdone, but we'll see. 519 contour. That would be absolutely periods of heavy rain and a soaker on Tuesday. I mean, big time rainy day, if that's true. Here's Wednesday, same low. Now it's opening up a little bit. We're definitely in this cold trough. That's still very active showers, probably some hail mixed in. Maybe some thunder, but I would like the hail chances better on this. And then here we are Thursday, same trough, but now it's really weakened and it's starting to push inland more, and we're starting to pull out of it. So this is the European model. Now I want to show you same time frame of what the American GFS model shows. All right, so here we go. This shows a low that's farther out to sea coming up from the south. This is Monday. Here's Tuesday. Now you do have a developing, let's go back for a second. So there's a little trough up here. So this model does take that little trough to our north and it pulls it into this, but it more quickly combines this trough offshore. Now, if this is true, there would be a heavier rain bullseye at least coming up into Washington and Canada. Meanwhile, there would still be a rain bullseye down here, 564 contour feeding into the San Francisco Bay Area. But this is a large trough. You got to think much of the West Coast has a pretty good bet Tuesday of next week to be getting some rain. Now the system's better organized. And this actually pretty much not quite matches the deepness of the low on the European model, but pretty close. 528 contour. Heavy rain, Northern California, and at least Southern Oregon again. So that's similar to the European model. There would have to be, you would think, some decent chunks of rain coming up into our area. That's Wednesday. Thursday, the low still sets in about the same position. Now, here it is Friday. Everything's starting to swing in. This is 546 low. You got to think this is chilly air. If we would have enough rain, these would be days where the high temperature would be doing well to get much above 50 degrees. Okay. So I just want to show you there's a very active, very deep, very strong low setting up along the West Coast next week. And basically, I'm looking at the model data several times a day and looking at everything I can look at, trying to find a nugget where the models are starting to swing, to showing deep moisture bands coming into our area, because I think it's at least possible. So next week's forecast certainly warrants a close eye. Today it's nice. We've got sunshine, 56 we're on track to hit. We stay fairly clear tonight to partly cloudy. Clouds come in tomorrow morning. And here's the deal. If the clouds hold off long enough overnight into the morning hours, then we will have a chance to cool all night. And there could be parts of the Willamette Valley tonight and Southwest Washington dip down close to 32 or at least 35. I've got Portland 39. But clouds quickly come in tomorrow. The rain we talked about early afternoon or noon at the coast, maybe raindrops by 3 o'clock here in the valley, and then it breaks into showers. Friday's the day, if you have plans, showers continue to be possible, but it doesn't look like a lot of rain. Friday's overwhelmingly much more dry than wet. There's a little push of warmer air Friday evening. Right now, the modeling keeps that best chance of rain up to our north. That would be more into Seattle, but we'll watch that. And then Saturday, there will be showers around, but this is not a soaking rain day. Sunday, weather models, I wrote this down. Weather models for Sunday generally give us less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. But when I do my analysis on Sunday, I find that there's reason to believe we could have several decent shots of rain coming through. So I put rain at times with a high of 56, but that rain amount is uncertain. Monday, that big low starting to develop. It looks like we'll get a decent chance of a shower, but right now some of the models actually keep us dry. And then pretty much all of the models, that big low I showed you, start bringing at least some decent rain into us Tuesday during the day, certainly into the afternoon. And I would expect at least occasional shots of decent rain at time Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And I am watching, just before I let you go, to reiterate, I'm watching for clues. And maybe at this point, this early out, the modeling is underdoing it for us. And maybe we could be looking at some significant rain totals next week. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be tracking. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine on this Wednesday when I'm taping this for you. And for now, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. My weather site's portlandweather.com. I ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. And for now, I'll say thank you. I'll talk to you soon.